Hey, this is Adam from Figmatic, and today I'm going to be showing you how to embed videos and animated GIFs inside of your slide deck designs from Figma, and then actually use those as a presentation that you can take straight out of Figma and actually present it to people with those GIFs and videos. So to see how to do this, we need to install a plugin called Pitch Deck, and if you haven't already done that, you can do it by clicking on the Figma icon in the top left, and then going to Community or Plugins, and in the search bar, if you type in the term Pitch Deck, so that's PITCHDECK, and underneath the Plugins tab, you'll see a result called Pitch Deck Presentation Studio. And if you haven't already installed it, you'll see a button on the right-hand side that says Install. And after you've clicked that, it'll look similar to mine where it's got this little check mark and it'll say the word installed next to it. So once it looks like that, you're ready to go and you can switch back to your Figma project file. So today I'm going to be using a pitch deck or a slide deck that I designed in Figma based on Dieter Rams's 10 Principles for Good Design. And so the goal for today is to turn this design of this deck into a real presentation, and not only a real presentation, but a real presentation that contains GIFs, embedded GIFs, and embedded videos from YouTube and Vimeo. So to get started, we just need to run the plugin we installed. So if you right-click anywhere and go down to Plugins, and then just go down to Pitch Deck Presentation Studio and click on that. And that is going to fire up the plugin that we just installed, the Pitch Deck plugin. So what it's doing right now is it's looking through all of our frames in the left-hand side here, and it's treating each frame as an individual slide. So every parent level frame will be loaded into Pitch Deck as a slide, and then all of the elements inside of each frame, at the top level inside of each frame, will be treated as the elements inside of each slide as well. So now that it's loaded, you can see what I mean. You can notice that we've got our slides all loaded in as expected. They're identical to what we have in our Figma design. But you've probably noticed that there's a couple of things that are different. The first thing that is different is the order of these frames. So in Figma, the order of these frames go from intro at the bottom to principle 10 at the top. So it's fundamentally in reverse to what we're seeing in Pitch Deck. And the reason for that is Pitch Deck automatically reverses the order of the frames because when you're designing things in Figma, typically if you're copy pasting the frames, Figma will put it next to the frame that you just copied. But in the slide order or the frame order, it will actually insert the layer above the frame every single time. So you end up with something like this, where the latest frame or the last frame is at the top and the first frame is at the bottom. So Pitch Deck automatically reverses it by default, just to save you the trouble of reordering the frames in Figma. But having said that, if you do need to change the order of the frames, you can do that very easily in the Pitch Deck plugin just by clicking into any frame, or you don't even have to click, you can just hover over any of the drag handles to the left of any slide, click and hold that with your mouse, and then just drag it up and down, and you can see there that it just reorders it. So now we can move 3 after 4. I can move that back. You can move any slide around in any order, and it's worth noting that this will not affect the ordering of your Figma file. It's just telling Pitch Deck what order you want these slides to be in when it exports a presentation deck from the plugin. Okay, so now that we've got that sorted out, we've got our order that we're all happy with from 1 to 10 and the intro frame. You probably also noticed that there's some animations going on, and these aren't coming from your Figma design. Again, these are coming from the Pitch Deck plugin. So the Pitch Deck plugin allows you to apply animations to any of your layers on any frame. And because I've already designed this and I've run this plugin before, I've already gone through and added all my animations to each of these elements. So by default, they'll be turned off when you first load the plugin in a project for the first time. Everything will be set to no animation, so that just looks like that. Nothing moves. But you can, of course, change that and add your own timings, add your own speeds, and you can also copy paste those animations really easily just by clicking on the copy button and then pasting it on any of the other layers, on any other frame or any other slide. The other thing that you might notice is the speaker notes section down here. I've covered this in another video which goes over how to do all the animations, how to set up the speaker notes, but this is just a free text field, so you can write anything you want here. So I can write intro to the presentation, and then maybe a note to myself, talk about diagrams history or something like that. So that's really all that does. It's just a way for you to add notes that can be used later, which aren't audience facing. These will be used when you go to present, and you'll be able to see them as the presenter, but the audience won't. So that's available on every frame, every slide. So you can customize those per slide and get them later when you go to present it. Okay, so now that we've covered the slide order, the speaker notes, and briefly touched on the animations, what I want to talk about today is showing you how to embed GIFs and also embedding videos from YouTube and Vimeo into these slides that we can actually present with to an audience. Okay, so to do this, we need to take our mouse over to this heading here where it says animations. And you can see this is actually not a heading, it's a select box. So this select box, we can put our cursor over, and this is now clickable. So if I click on animations, we get a few more options. So the default is animations, which is showing us all these animation settings. But the next option is to embed GIFs, YouTube or Vimeo URLs. So if I click on that one, you can see that the options here have changed. The layers are all still the same. We can still see all of our layers that we had in the animations. But the timings and animation names have been replaced with an input box for each element. So this box here, as you can see by the placeholder indicating it, these are for pasting in links. And as the title sort of says, we can paste in URLs for Vimeo, YouTube, or just a GIF. So I'm going to show you all three of those just to show you what they look like and how they work. So I'm just going to open up the browser and load up a few pages that I've already kind of set up beforehand. So these are three links that I've set up related to my presentation. I've got a YouTube clip from the Diagrams documentary. I've got a Vimeo video showing the 10 principles of good design video. And then I've also gone to Giphy and I've loaded up a looping GIF of Dieter Rams getting angry at his engineering team. So I'm going to show you how to use all of these in your presentation. So the first thing we need to do is pick which element we want these videos or GIFs to show up at. And for now, I'm just going to load it onto the Dieter Rams photo on the intro slide. So if I jump to my website again. So the first thing I'll do is just copy the GIF and show you what that looks like. So if I copy the GIF, and you can see here, this is just a link to the GIF file. So that's the one we want. You want a link that links to a .gif file, a URL. So if I go back to my file, I've just copied that URL. And if I hover over my layer, which has Dieter Rams photo, click on the input, and then click Control V or Command V if you're on Windows. And if you paste that in there, you'll see immediately the GIF has appeared. So it's embedded that GIF in place of whatever image was there before. So the image from our slide up here will not be rendered. It's just going to show this GIF. So you could put a placeholder image there if you want. If you know you want to swap out a video or swap out a GIF later, that might be a good way to do it. So you can easily swap that out. So that's the GIF, and then we can try out the other ones as well. So if I jump back to my browser, this time I'm going to use Vimeo, and if I just copy this URL, and notice that I've just copied the URL itself. I haven't had to go down to share and then go to this embed code and figure out what's going on there. I don't need to touch any of that. I can simply just go up here to the main URL of the video, copy that, jump back into Figma. This time I'm going to delete the GIF. So you can see when I remove it, it goes back to the usual image. And I'm just going to paste in the Vimeo link that we just copied. So Command V. And you can see here, I've got my Vimeo embed ready to go. So it's worth noting that this will play on its own once it gets into the presentation that we upload in a minute. But just in the preview, it's set to do nothing, essentially, to not start, just so it doesn't keep loading in and over and over and over again, because every time you make a change, it'll keep trying to load it in. The next thing we can try is the YouTube video. And after we do that, I'll show you what it looks like once we actually export this thing. So I've just copied, again, the YouTube URL from up here. I haven't gone to share and clicked on the embed or gone to any of this kind of iframe code. I don't need that. All I need to do is simply copy this link up at the top, and I can get rid of the Vimeo link, delete that, and this time I'm going to paste in the YouTube link. So now I have the YouTube embed there. You can see that it's loaded in, and it's matching up with the video that we expected. The other thing you can do, it also supports short links. So if you did want to grab the short link like this, you can grab that, and then I'll load that one in. So that will work as well. If you want to use a short link, or if somebody sent it to you, you can paste that in. So really, whatever embed link or link from YouTube or Vimeo you find, you'll be able to just paste that raw one in there, and Pitch Deck will figure out the rest. It'll embed it for you. Okay, so now that we've got that set up, what I can do is I can actually now export this to a presentation. And so I might just do a couple more just so we can see what they all look like. So if I grab, I'm just going to grab that GIF. And I'm just going to swap out this image with the GIF of dioramas. And you can see that it's kept the aspect ratio. It hasn't stretched it. It's just vertically centered it. And of course, the way you could go about making sure that's positioned the way you want it would be to create a proper placeholder. So for example, I'm using square images here, and obviously this GIF is not square. So what you would do if you wanted to position this more accurately is you would get the dimensions or the size roughly of this embed here, and create a placeholder frame or a placeholder rectangle or image in your designs. And then all you'd have to do is find that placeholder in your list of layers, paste in your GIF or paste in your YouTube video or Vimeo video, and that will just work as you'd expect. So I'll add one more just so we've got our Vimeo link as well. We can try all three. So again, I'm just going to copy the Vimeo link from the URL, and I'm going to swap out this image. And again, you can see here that it's kind of just taking over. If I get rid of that, it's just swapping that out. So yeah, so let me just see if I might try it on this one. So you can, as you can see, you can't actually click on it in Figma to start playing it, but once you'll see in a second when we export it, which I'll do in a moment, you'll be able to actually play this, and it will play automatically in your presentation, and then you'll be able to control it with your mouse if you really want to. Okay, so I'm fairly happy with those three for now. So what we can do is export this to a real presentation, and I'll show you what that looks like. So to do that, you just need to make sure that your export setting is set to pitch deck URL. So that's sitting underneath the animated group. There's some static options as well, which I won't cover in this tutorial, but if you're interested in these ones, I've created some other YouTube tutorials on the Figmatic YouTube channel, and if you just go to the channel, you'll be able to easily find how to export to PDF, PowerPoint, Keynote, and there's also a Google Slides one in there as well. But for today, we're just going to be looking at the pitch deck URL. So I've just selected that, and because I've already uploaded this before, mine says update presentation, but if you haven't uploaded one before, it'll say upload presentation. So I'm just going to click update, and that'll update the presentation for me. So what it's doing now is it's going through each of these frames that we've set up as slides, and then it's also going through every single layer of the children of those slides, and it's creating the slides for us, generating the images, generating the SVGs, creating these slide thumbnails, and then it's basically going to upload it for us, and then it will give us a link, a URL with a password that we can then use to view and present this deck. Okay, so now that that's done, we can see that it's telling us that our secure presentation link is ready, which means that we can copy or click on this secure link and also copy the password down here to get access to present the deck. So I'm just going to copy the URL and take it into my Chrome window that I've already got open, and just paste that in there. And if we jump back and grab the password, I can just click on this little icon to copy the password and jump back. And then if we paste that in there, the login button will become available, and I'll click on that to log in. And once this loads, you will see our deck as we expected it. So we've got the nice YouTube video that we just added into our Figma file. That's in there now. I've just left the mouse untouched for a little bit, and that's why the toolbar has disappeared now. But the video is really clear. I think it's an HD video, and it auto-played just straight away, which is really neat. And I don't have sound on, but if you turn your volume up, or if you're using speakers for your presentation, you'll be able to hear all the audio as well. I've just got my computer muted at the moment. And if you really need to, you can also access the timeline, so you can click around and jump through the video while you're presenting. You can pause it, you can play it, you can mute it, and do all that kind of cool stuff. And then if I jump to my next frame, so I can either do that by clicking on the little next button in my slide controls down here, or I can simply just press the right arrow key. So I'm going to do that now. It's still focused on my video. So if I jump back down here and click next. Okay, so now we're on slide 2, and we've got our GIF. So this is the GIF that we found on Giphy of Dieter Rams going crazy at his engineering team. And that's just auto-playing, obviously, and repeating an infinite amount of times. Depending on what GIF you're using, if your GIF is set not to repeat, it won't repeat, but obviously most GIFs tend to repeat. So that'll just keep going for as long as the GIF's there. And so the other thing to note is if I go backwards, any video that I have embedded will get restarted whenever the frame changes or whenever the slide changes. So if you go forward and then if you go back, that will restart the video. It won't kind of pause it or just loudly kind of start in the middle again. It'll do that if you did need to go backwards. Okay, so that's the GIF loading in nicely. And as I was saying before, the animations still get applied to the video and the GIF, which is really nice. It's kind of a smooth transition in for those animated GIFs and YouTube videos. So the next one we just left blank. This was the second principle of design, and we've just left it with the Braun juicer there. But if we go to the next frame, that's where we've added our Vimeo embed. So I'm just going to go to the next frame, and there we go. It's auto playing our Vimeo embed. It's really, really sharp. I think this is another full HD video. And again, I'm not using my speakers, so you can't hear the audio, but this is just an embedded video with audio if you have speakers on. So if you need the audio, just unmute your television or your computer, whatever you're presenting on, and you'll be able to hear that. But that just plays automatically. You don't have to interact with it. Again, if you wanted to, the controls are there. If you want to engage with the mouse, you can do that, of course. But in this case, I just want to let it run and just play in the background. And then after that, we've just got our regular slides. So these are all just as we expected. I'm just going through those pretty easily. And yeah, so I won't deep dive into the other features of the controls down here. I've done a separate video on that that you can find on our YouTube channel, on the Figmatic YouTube channel. And if you go there and look for, there's about a 30-minute video which goes into depth about how to apply animations and how to use the remote control and the pointer and all that sort of stuff. So that's just a quick demo of the pointer, which does a few different little things that you can do for fun. And yeah, so that's roughly it. It's really easy. You don't have to do any crazy uploads with your videos. You don't have to kind of scour your local hard drive or anything and drag and drop images in to Figma. You can purely just link to them online, and Pitch Deck will take care of the rest. And yeah, embed those YouTube, Vimeo, and GIFs into your presentations. So I hope that's helpful. I don't think that Figma has support for video yet. They do support GIFs, I believe, in the prototypes, but for me personally, and for a lot of people I know, video is like super important for doing presentations. So that's why I wanted to add support for some video formats, and there'll probably be more supported in the future. So stay tuned to these tutorials and the Figmatic website for more updates. But for now, these are the three that you can add into your pitch decks or your presentations that you've designed in Figma. So I'll close that off now and jump back into Figma. And that's it. That's all you need to do. You can play around with this yourself. As I said before, if you want to add in some placeholders, so sort of rectangle placeholders or whatever shape you want those embeds to show up as, or whatever size, and that's just a really easy way of positioning and resizing them over your frame. If you want to kind of put them in the corner, or if you want to do a full screen one, you can do that. Just make the whole screen a rectangle inside of your slide, and then again, when you rerun the Pitch Deck plugin, which you can do just by clicking on the right-hand side here, this little pancake icon, and relaunch it, yeah, you could turn that whole rectangle into a full screen video embed, and that would totally be cool as well. So yeah, I'll leave you there, and until the next time, thank you as always for watching, and we'll be back very soon with more tutorials just like this one.